The God is here, so, and so the Lord stands, my nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jessica, what do we have tonight?
Thank you very much. This evening, first up is department head updates, and I would like to enthusiastically introduce our new finance director. Her name is Maggie Purcell. She started last week, and we're so thankful that she's in her new seat. Pleasure to be here. It's been a great week being able to take the tour, meet everyone, and get digging in.
Welcome aboard.
Glad you're here. Thank you very much. Next up, Elon.
Yeah, just in full school mode, after school programs been bringing in low to mid-20s per day for kids for safe haven. Soccer, we had a first and second grade jamboree for with soccer and had drove turnover. And all four of our teams play this Sunday from 8:30 to 12:30. Going well. Kindergarten wrapped up as well. I can see some pictures on Facebook. Our 3-4 is Thursday jamboree, 5-6 is Friday jamboree. That entire house season for them. Travel has started. We were down in Lisbon, 5-6. We won both championships down there. You can see pictures of that on Facebook as well. The pavilion just dropped off today from Barrel Mill. Tim will be by tomorrow morning to put it in place. Gary put the post in to secure it. But that'll be done, and I'll just gotta get a roof on it and keep the groundwork ready. Might just be grass for this time being. Looking into other options. Haven't solidified a date for the Halloween Carnival. The dates are kind of already taken. Should have one soon. The camp is going well. We're still being kept up. Ryan doing the job. We just had a wedding out there this weekend. Went well. Weather's been great, so it's tough to have a tough weekend for anything these days, except for grass growing. Yeah. Sure, there's something I'm missing, but what we got, I guess.
Okay. Great.
Thank you very much. Well then.
You read the newspaper. I will be a select person for the town of Northumberland. They meet the same night as we do, so what I'll be doing from now on is probably submitting a written report to Jessica, and she can read it on my behalf. And as mentioned, I expect this to go to March. I wanted to watch how much or if any impact to my job and what's going on here. If there's little or none, then I would probably rerun, but if I just can't stand it. Been attending the NHMA Financial Policy Certificate Program. I've got 4 of their sections down and 6 more to go. So I'll be out of the office this Wednesday for expenditure and revenue policy. This morning I have had 2 walkthroughs of properties and projects. One was the Lancaster Motel. There's something down the pike that's a little different than what we've been hearing. And so I was looking at different sections of the motel. And I had Randy with me, so we did the kind of a fire inspection. And I went with Donna Lane from CDBG to do a walkthrough of McKee Inn for their block grant. Some of the information that came out of that was on Friday, Invest in Hampshire sent out a notice that there's more money for, the housing 2.0 type of money, so there might be, I think we might be able to get some demolition money to help McKee because they're finding a little bit of a shortfall. I've also found that Ben Southworth has had a shortfall on his program as well, but I think he's gonna apply as the developer and not use the town as. Tomorrow at 10, Randy and I will be meeting, Mike Kopp at North Country Ford to go over options for an electric truck to replace his fire department, vehicle. I have a ZBA case on the 24th for variance. There will be a planning board meeting in next month for a lot line adjustment. I expect that the major site plan will be withdrawn at that point. Just wanted to mention that, October 1st is gonna be a live speaker for the safety committee. Somebody's coming in to talk about, workplace harassment and its impact. It was a speaker that I had, met through the Vermont Bar Association. I felt that it was, impactful. And so I thought that it might be something that everyone could go to rather than just certain departments. Conservation Commission met and voted on two things. Actually, today it was, they voted to contribute funds to the spraying of the knotweed at the mobile home park off Page Hill. They were spraying today. I think I heard you say something.
It's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday. Okay. Well, I knew it was gonna be sometime this week, but Joel White was at that meeting and basically it, said that it was so established in such a large patch that his equipment and he could not handle it. So it was subcontracted to keep it native because they have this big sprayer that's specific for those types of things. And so that's why they're coming up. The second thing that they voted on was, well, Jessica had asked about voting on the Dow for a tree, to basically, there's one, a blue spruce that needs to be up on soldiers in there. They didn't want it to come out of the Dow, so they voted for up to $500 to come out of their own budget. And I just wanted to mention that the America the Beautiful funding has been announced, so it's due, I didn't write that down, in about 2 weeks. So if there's anything to be that relates to recycling and or the transfer station, let me know.
May I ask you a question about the housing money? Does it affect the Lancaster housing board at all? 2.0.
No, shouldn't, but I mean, it just makes what housing we have in the stay the same. Yeah, so McKee is just trying to maintain their own building. Did you mean that or the housing, the Invest New Hampshire? Oh, the 2.0 money. That is the same money that was used for 55 Main, so the old Simon Retainer, for the Democrat building, and the old, like, the House of Pizza. So technically, it's supposed to be, the whole original intent was that to be applied toward affordable house. But the demolition funds are separate. That's just to help with demolition. It's the capital money that applies to You use that and have restrictive covenant that needs to be recorded at the registry of deeds. For 10 years, you have to keep your rents affordable and at the 50% average, average income. Yeah.
It's about there, so.
Right, yeah, so it doesn't impact,
We can affect if it's paying the landlord.
right,
So it's fine.
Thank you very much, Robin. Both Chief Flynn and Chief Woodworth have prior commitments this evening, as did Barbara. You do have in front of you a report for August for both the police and fire and EMS. You'll note on Randy's report that the last page is the inspection / safety report. Thank you, Robin. For the work that Chris has been doing. So you'll be able to see the number of calls as well as the hours associated with filing the reports. That's fun. I can read through that if you think they'll be beneficial for the public. Since the last meeting there were 494 calls for service in the police department, 5 crashes, 147 stops, and 10 arrests. Same time last year, calls for service were 596, 10 crashes, 35 stops, and 9 arrests. Year-to-date calls for service 4,262, crashes 61, stops 1,258, and arrests were 133. Year-to-date in 2024, calls for service were 4,835, 64 crashes, 1,962 stops, and 113 arrests. So the arrests are up significantly over last year. There's a report for the mileage on it. Cruiser number 1 has 8,256 miles. Cruiser 2, the 21 Explorer, has 82,903 miles. Cruiser 4, a 2019 Explorer, has 112,331 miles. And Cruiser 5, the 2023 Explorer, has 58,498 miles. Officer Comatherapy is healing well and currently doing physical therapy. He should be back to full duty on October 5th. Interviewed the 1 applicant for the last PT rounds, and unanimous vote from the interview board not to hire. We will continue to try and fill the 8th spot. Lieutenant Matthews and K9 Barrett are in Safe Search Patrol School, and they are rolling out a series of videos to Facebook, which were recorded by a volunteer about K9 Barrett to better introduce her to the community. It was very well received, and the first video has over 27,000 views. The fair went smooth from the police department and with no major issues. For fire and EMS, 2025 911 calls 78, 24 62. So I'll look down the 25 first. There are 89 transfers for a total of 167 for the year to date. For 167 calls year to date. 911 calls 505, transfers 817 for a total of 1,324 calls. For 2024, this month was 62 911 calls, 140 transfers for a total of 202. Year to date in 2024, 911 calls 545, 990 transfers for a total of 1,536. They have turned down a number of transfers due to staffing and budget, and Littleton Hospital has done 120 transfers out of this year, which accounts for some of the low numbers that you're seeing. But the revenue is on track to meet the projections. September has a lot of inspections so far this month. Currently, ambulance 7 that you voted on the last time is at Berlin City Ford for the transmission and engine work. You said that'll take about a week. The fire department had 2 mutual aid calls, one to Lunenburg, and actually their first ever mutual aid call to Woodstock, which they were canceled en route.
that's quite a ways.
Yes, yes, yep. The fair went well, no major calls, and they have already been paid for service. So that is it for reports this evening. Department heads, feel free to leave. We'd like some time. And we do have one announcement this evening for Rob Christie regarding Connecticut River Joint Commission River.
those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob Christie. And is the name of the local New Hampshire side segment of Connecticut River Joint Commission. Basically 5 segments going from the Mass border up to Canada. And the next northern one is called Headwaters, and that's Groveton and North. There's 13 towns in our segment, and each town is entitled to 2 reps. We just have 1 here, and some Lunenburg and Guildhall don't have any reps. So, one of my missions here is to encourage us to staff up as much as we can, so we have a quorum. And there is a write-up in the town report every year that they submit, gives you the basic information. What's going on is in the watershed here, there's 15 to 17 different organizations that have an oar in the water, and some of them have money to spend and some of them don't. What I've been able to do is I hear about some of the DES filings that maybe don't make their way to Robin, whatever, and she and I often compare notes. So it's a way, we're busy enough within town, but things happen outside town. So what I'm here to do is encourage Lancaster to think about appointing someone else. And I'm also sending reports and minutes and agendas to all the select boards on both sides of the river right now. Have to get some interest. Sometimes there's money, sometimes there isn't. We've had 3 projects here, recently that have involved money. One was the D142 power line, and one was fixing the pipeline over there on Israel's. And the last one was Sam Main and Conservation Commission project school. So there's some money that goes around, and we can be helpful, we'd like to be, and try to stay out of it. It's nothing for us to do, but keep everybody in part of the job to report back here. So important resources or edifices within our territory are all the dams, Moore, McIndoe Falls, and I forget what the other one's name, and they go through recertification. Right now, Moore Dam, as you know, is going through their pilot negotiation about how much taxes or contribution comes to the town. The last assessment, it went way down, and it hurt Littleton quite a bit from the point of view of finances. Our Skip Sansucci, who lives here in town, is the official appraiser, and that's something to keep an eye on. And one of the things I want to mention about Riverbend Commission is one of the people regularly attends is Justin from downriver. He's a selectman. I can't remember which side it is, but he's also an executive at Great River Hydro. So there's a voice in our committee that's very strongly oriented to some of the commercial interests. And sometimes that's an advantage to our community, and sometimes it's something we want to keep an eye on. And going north from here, the headwaters, a bunch of towns, as you know, between here and the Canadian border, but there are only 4 of them that are active. So sometimes decisions just go by because they can't get a quorum or whatever. I like to know what's going on upstream. I'm sure you do too, since you've been on the river. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Is this is an organization that's been there for a long time. We're a subcommittee, and we feed in to the overall committee. And sometimes it seems like everyone's aging out and not paying attention to us up here, but sometimes important things happen. So that's my basic report, to remind everybody that there's some utility for it, and there could be more if you take advantage. So I know how hard it is to find people on committees around down here, but if you have anybody in mind, that's great, because my plan to live to be 120 and serve full time the whole way. But just in case I stop short of 120, and I will tell you that I'm the head now of our Riverbend segment, and I'm not. My dad was on it. I don't know too much. I'm learning, and I would like to see someone coming up behind me that has some depth. So, like to give this for a living. Any questions about it? Dan Law. I have some other things. That's what
Thank you, Ron.
There are no public hearings this evening. Next up, review of minutes for September 2nd, 2025 session.
Motion to accept minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the select board minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up, we have signed various paperwork. We have an intent to cut at R 11-36 on Garland Road for 54 acres. We also have a delegation of deposit authority. This is pursuant to RSA 4129(5), which allows the treasurer to delegate deposit or other financial deposit functions to town officials or employees. The town treasurer is hereby delegates deposit function authority to the finance director, the town clerk, and tax collector, and their respective deputies. So this is a organizational document to make sure that we've had one in effect, but it's kind of just updating with the step. And the third is for a certification of satisfaction from municipality. This is from BEA regarding consolidated communications bill debt for their Office of Broadband Initiatives with BEA.
So, go ahead.
Let me just say, I'm not comfortable signing that. It's asking me to certify that Consolidated has completed their work, and I'm not. I remember they came and they presented to us, but I don't know the scope. I don't know how we would know if they completed it and whether or not it's completed to satisfaction.
And
And I don't know if this is something you guys have signed off on before, but with what I have in front of me,
this is the first time I've seen this, but of course that was, they're built out with part of a grant also, so thinking that's where this comes from.
I'm assuming they're looking to get final payment of a grant.
The,
Can we get a final report of said grant or anything? I mean, or was that presentation to us?
No,
No, we had requested.
I
the presence.
had asked them to come because there was some, concern with some residents in town that did not get product.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Kathy Jean. I need to know more about this. That was that one that came before us that night, and we had to make a decision that night.
My first night on.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So
We want to consolidate, yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna.
Is this something BEA or Consolidated can provide more information? We can certainly, yeah.
Okay. Please.
yes, the,
You agree, Leo?
yes, I didn't disagree when we,
I remember. Would you
got
like to?
the last minute thing like that is kind of like, yeah.
Yes, so looking for more information or a final report?
Yes,
More information. I'd like to know what their original
Maybe the
Area.
actual scope of work,
scope of work was.
what was completed.
Right.
and did we connect with many customers as they were supposed to connect?
If not, what were the challenges or what's the plan?
Or why-
with that?
Yeah, why didn't they?
Yeah, I
Reason.
don't know how we attest to something we don't even know.
Let's throw it back on to them. They threw it on to us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. For new business number one, we have an appointment to the Lancaster Housing Authority. So as you know, we've been working to secure a full board. They do have a quorum at this point in time, and they've been busy soliciting for new membership. Heather Phillips Kennison is currently an elected representative on the Colonel Town Spending Committee. Her son is Officer Kennison. So looking to appoint her to a longer term. There were two terms open, one expiring in 2027 and one expiring in 2029. She wishes to be around for longevity and to be appointed for a term expiring in 20.
Make a motion to appoint.
I want to say something first. You want to withdraw?
Well,
Well, okay.
I might, but, just because you should have a motion in a second.
To discuss? All right, I'll second. To discuss? So one of the things we run into is first of all, has this gone to the housing authority for them to appoint? So that we are taking their recommendation. You know, we've sent these back to like a planning board, and we've sent it back to Conservation Commission when names have come forward, and we ask the committees to actually bring it forward to us. They approve it first and then us. And I think also we've gotten a little bit away of actually a letter of interest. Again, what I have, she certainly has responded, but she's enthusiastic. I realize she's an elected official. That's great. But what is the process that will consistently bring forward to us when these appointments are available to be made? And this has nothing to do with the person who this process.
We just want to clarify the motion first. Your motion is actually the motion to appoint this person and then open up for discussion, and you seconded the.
I second the emotion.
We don't offer,
The emotion.
Yeah, second the emotion.
we don't offer point for
Yeah.
things that we
But
should.
KJ kept saying a motion to discuss, and I'm like, I don't think that's. Okay, thank you, that's all I need.
The planning board, you've got a larger board than what you do on housing committee. And I'm not sure necessarily on the housing committee, we want a sounding board of everyone on that. Yeah. Like done. Sure. And then we have someone that's interested, which is rare, especially for the housing. How much more process do we have for
That goes to the committee. They have a quorum. I understand when we didn't have a quorum, we needed to get people on. From what I understand, we have a quorum, so they can continue to conduct their business. But the Planning Conservation Commission would sit around and decide whether or not they wanted to bring someone forward. They would vote. Planning board would. And
again, on a larger committee?
You're asking Kathy Jean to have a policy in place.
consistent procedure.
A procedure, it's not a policy, in place to appoint anybody to any.
The appointments that we make.
Yeah.
Why are they coming directly to us unless it's directly related to us? It should go through a committee process.
I can speak to that.
In a minute. Didn't we get ridiculed about doing something? It's in my mind, but I don't know what it's about, where. We can follow it.
I think we've appointed people without it going through the committee, but
Without the committee, no one, right?
then I think it's brought up, we haven't had like a cover letter or letter of interest or something that we can look at. It shows, again, I love that someone has been elected and is interested in serving.
Are you looking? So
I'm looking for consistency to limit the
Because the committee wasn't happy. I don't know.
But there should be a process.
Could be.
And if this is the process, and it bypassed committees.
So I'm going to suggest an administrative function instead of, I think in the last conversation with an appointment, you were looking for a resume or something a little bit more professional, which maybe people don't have. So, a form which, likely shows their name, address, why they're interested, the term length, and a quick blurb. That's not a barrier to participation, which I feel as though a resume or something, I see those more.
It does not require a resume, but something that consistently we do when it comes forward in our packet. We know it each and every time, but this is how it's going to be handled.
And to clarify, you're talking about a letter, so now we're saying that if somebody sends us an email saying, yeah, I'm interested in this position, that we're not gonna accept the email, which we have most definitely accepted emails in that.
It's Jessica, when they send that, Jessica could send this form back out.
Also just could be getting procedure heavy where if we have to make an emergency appointment, we now can't abide by the procedures that we are setting in place. Because as what happened, we had to appoint somebody. I'm just urging caution that we're tying our hands maybe a little bit too much. Because there have been times too where a committee has presented someone and saying, we would like you to appoint them, and we have said, no, we're not. So, again, I just don't want to see the board tie their hands where there is no flexibility of us, okay, locked into this procedure, and we can't vary from it.
I think we need a little more work.
We have to call for a vote, because we have to put a second.
No, I think this one here is going to have to go through the way.
Established procedure definitely need outs on it, and,
So we need to be thinking about, we need to,
you know, it's not always a clean process, and we're not always going to take many recommendations.
That's right.
yeah, go ahead.
I might be right eminently qualified, because I have been told rejected by you guys for appointment to the budget committee in the past and appointed to the LHA. So in my case, process that KJ described was actually followed. It was Jessica put out a request for anybody interested, and I submitted a letter, and then you guys went on that, I think, in appointing me. I will say that the way Heather came up was I'm working with her on the Curvetown Spending Committee, and she's on the subcommittee with her. And I was just asking anybody who wanted to be on. I will say that there is one member of our committee, and it's not me, who is in very perilous health. And so it would be quite possible that if we don't have someone else, we end up without a quorum. So, but that's neither here nor there. As far as I agree with Leon, you're gonna have a policy. It's good to have an emergency out, like, you know, or in the case of a sudden appointment, we could, you know, you could do that. I will, this is my suspicion. I think, so when I ran for the spending committee, Heather and a bunch of other people stepped up and realized that there were vacancies. And I ran because there weren't any. No one else was running. I think it's quite possible that they ran so they could keep an eye on me. I'm on the subcommittee with Heather, and she's probably there to keep an eye on me. So just because I put the name up doesn't mean I'm trying to lard the thing up with special considerations. But I see where you should have those facts when you make the appointment. And I will say that I passed the name on to Jessica, and Jessica apparently sent out a packet to Heather. But due to our lovely postal system or something. She told me when I asked her to come tonight, she said she hadn't received it yet. So I think this is a case in which maybe it was thought that if we could get taken care of right away, it would be one less thing. But, so I don't think Heather would be offended if you asked her for more information, and I think she's gonna get the packet you said. So I think it's good. I will say that this would make a 5-member committee, who's usually all elected. There'll be 2 of the members. And I don't know whether Brittany wasn't elected either, I don't think. So it may be that we have Mark Frank, who's elected, and everybody else is appointed. But it's a practical matter. There's $35,000 worth of checks that have to be written every month. And we have to delegate the authority to Berlin Housing to do it, and that's been hanging fire. So there is some imperative. There's 3 of us now. It's not gonna paralyze the system if Heather doesn't get appointed tonight. And so I agree with you, process is important. We've always done it. I didn't want you to think that since I put the name forward, I was trying to give the bumps right or anything like that. And there are some, we are still negotiating with Berlin. Usually they have the administrative handoff, and that's going on.
All right, we gotta get that.
Yeah, but I just want to.
I understand. Yeah, thank you. All right, now, we're back. More discussion on.
I just think that, and I know right now there's a quorum, but I think we should move forward with the appointment. It's not that she's an unknown quantity in town. So,
I just feel, I think we're headed in the right direction. We've got to draft something up and think about it. What about work sessions?
Well, we have a first and second. Are we gonna vote?
So, ready to vote? Vote, will you? All in favor?
all right.
Opposed? 1 and 2. Proceed to your point.
Thank you very much. No other new business this evening and no old business. Next up is the select board member reports.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay.
Happy to see the fountain back up, and I thought it was pretty good. For the ribbon cutting, yeah. Thank you to all that made that happen. That's all.
Thank you. Next up is the town manager report. The plumbers have wrapped up their work inside the building, but there's still lots of work to be done prior to the heat being turned on here. You can see that we have radiators torn up throughout the building, which need to be removed safely by town staff in order for us to keep costs low. We are also using town staff to insulate the pipes, which is why I don't want to turn anything on prior to that work being completed. From there, once things are back in place, we'll be putting things back together and getting things buttoned up so that everything can run smoothly. We are still awaiting our NEPA review for the solar panels at the lagoons. I know Barrington Solar was our single submission, and I will reach out to Paige at the Department of Energy to just check in. The last time I heard from her was earlier this month, and we've had no update. And we are also still waiting for our local emergency operations plan grant through HSEM. It's still not before the governor and council, so I'm continuing to keep an eye on that. We did receive $12,040.94 from FEMA for the damage to our contents and buildings during the July 2024 storm. So we're starting to see them wake up and continue. Work is still continuing for the roads throughout town. 2 notes about trees. I know Robin had one quick mention, but Eversource will be removing a dead oak tree on Fletcher Street that we called in. And the Catholic Diocese will be removing a dead tree in the Calvary Cemetery on Water Street. So there was some concern about the falling over, and they're going to be taking it down. There was some minor welding work that was needed on the steel girder of the expansion joint over at Alden's Bridge. Overall, the bridge looks great for its age, and they should be right on time with finishing up that project. Now a note about healthcare, because it's just one thing. So as you recall, NHIT ceased to exist in June. We had to pay them a special health care assessment this year of $34,850. We subsequently transitioned to school care based on a generous offer that they had, which was a 14% mid-year increase to the town. That's in addition to this $34,000. School care held a public hearing for Harvard Pilgrim rates this past Friday, September 12th. The cost, they wanted to just kind of level set that the cost for medical services and medications continue to rise. GLPs and injectables and just overall healthcare is getting more costly. The overall average increase indication from Harvard Pilgrim at this point for January 1st of 2026 is an increase of 31%. School Care Board of Directors recognizes that this is really unsustainable increase for the towns. We are one of the towns that transitioned over to school care because of this offer that they extended to all of these communities kind of in limbo. And they recognize that it's going to be a strain on our budgets. Their board has signaled an intention not to renew with Harvard Pilgrim for 2026 based on this, which, as you recall, at this point last year when we were shopping around, school care is a Cigna provider, and unfortunately, they run school rates, so they are a July renewal, which puts us out of sync for health insurance. So right now, health insurance is a big question mark, but a lot of pressure for the organization. I'm continuing to have conversations. I'm in conversations with 3 organizations right now, school care, and 2 other groups, just to determine how we can move forward in a more reasonable way, but knowing that this is going to be a time suck and another pressure.
Trust, are you gonna be able to get a quote from them?
Well, health trust is similar boat to NHIT, so I can certainly reach out to them. I'm a little bit leery of what may happen with them, but certainly worth sending a census over and getting more information.
Yeah, 14% we picked, just picked it
Right,
up.
yeah, centralized, yeah, that's last one.
The 31% increase, Jess, is that to July 1? Is it July to July?
So school care was previously a Cigna broker, and they just picked up Harvard Pilgrim for this group for the NHIT folks. So once they saw the rates for a January renewal with Harvard Pilgrim, they said, no way can we even offer this administratively. It's just a nightmare for them. So they're retracting basically to go back to what's known to them. So Harvard Pilgrim will be I'm hoping, I spoke to one provider today. I'm hoping to get it all depends on when the rates come out, but I was hoping to have that first October work session to just lay everything out. More creative options to try and control costs.
We have a budget meeting in October.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll be very busy the next couple of weeks. That's it for me right now.
Sure.
Welfare, One funeral award, some back rent. We did have a transient come through, so it hasn't been crazy, but. We'd be supposed to be information before you this evening is a letter from the Liquor Commission notice to municipalities for Isha Quick Stop. This will be at, Division of Enforcement for, the location which used to be Logan. So,
Do you know when that's expected to open?
I do not know. I know they've been working on, they've received a signed permit, so on and so forth. So, the last I heard, I believe they were trying to open before the fair. Now that that's coming on. Or and next up this evening, public comment.
Okay, well,
Okay, I'd like to start by welcoming you. Thank you very much. There's lots to do about upgrading your accounting system, and I'm sure that you will attack it with a smile. It will be a great benefit to all concerned. So thanks for being here. I've got 3 or 4 things. At some point, if you could, planning committee update on what's happening with the motel was continuance. Does that mean they didn't work on it last meeting?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. As far as the, so as you know, I've been crawling around the Dow Fund, and there may or may not be some money there. One of the issues is, so Lancaster may have some money from a residual part of Mr. Dow's estate, and it probably wouldn't involve a legal question of some kind, which brings us to the point of view of the town's legal budget. We're always very careful about spending that. And so in order to try not to spend very much money on that, but we could realize a lot of money, I wanted to suggest that the select board maybe propose to the budget committee that the legal budget be expanded beyond what it is right now. Just because it's bigger doesn't mean you have to spend the whole thing, but I think you guys are kind of, your hands are tied a little bit because there's been a lot of legal expenses this year already. And so my recommendation on that would be if you could beef it up a little bit. As far as the Dow Fund is concerned, since the money that we might have coming to be part of Dow, I was talking to the Department of Justice to see whether I should just shut up or whether there was anything to do with it. And they mentioned that for the part that you guys created a new trust and decanted the money that hadn't been spent that went to the welfare department, they said, oh, by the way, you don't need a new trust because the old trust handles that. It already said it. So you didn't actually need to create a new trust. And it wasn't in your purview anyway to do that. But anyway, so there was a time set, what, $1,700 was asked for the trees expenditures, and the trustees approved it, as I recall. And I think you were at the meeting. Someone asked for 1,700. Tricia approved it. Motion and approved. 2,200 left over after the money's been decanted for welfare. So that's all in line. But the open question at the Dow Fund is the Unity Club is still the only people who can recommend a voucher to spend, and that needs to be taken care of. The Unity Club, you know, Myra died not too long ago, and I think that means Mrs. Penny is doing one. So that's something. It's just one of those technicalities that needs to be addressed. And the reason it's relevant is because all this other contingent money that might come to the town for the welfare budget is because of a technicality that has gone unaddressed. So would you like me to expand on that money at all, or should we leave that for another time?
probably for another time.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, yeah, so it's very preliminary, and so, again, with the Dow Fund, I guess the trustees have to do it, or the court has to do that. You're qualified beneficiaries as a town, spend the tree stuff, so you have standing to go to the court and say, oh, by the way, we'd like to replace the Unity Club, probably with you, but that's usually what happens if there's no one else left as the spending is the agent to expend, and that may already be the case. So That's what I know about Dow. I've been copying all of you as I work as an individual taxpayer and as a member of M and Smith. And the bottom line is M and Smith gets to be the agent to expend according to the will if the money comes.
Now, Rob, you have 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay, well, it's your money. I'm just gonna tell them.
No, and I appreciate what you're
Well, I would like it if you stop paging me about 3 minutes. I'm trying to be brief. The last thing I have to report on is the big right.
You'd like to do what, Rob?
I would like you to stop paging me about.
I am not hating you. We have a policy. We give 3 minutes. You have said that you were here as a taxpayer, not a department head, not making a point to see us if you're gonna.
Well, I'm already on the.
You were, but it was for Joint Riverbend Commission.
All right. Look, I don't bring up trivial stuff here.
I'm
This
not
is
saying,
important.
I'm just trying to be consistent. All right, this is what.
Okay, well, I feel personally, probably just my own feeling. You're writing me a lot about things that I think are relatively important. I know that they're verbose, but I will try to be brief and respect you very much. So thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
And I flew off the handle, but now I'm back on the handle. So I'm talking about. The last thing I have is the spending committee at Colonel Town has asked the Colonel Town Investment Trust increase payout from 4% a year to 5% a year. But we had a motion, we voted, we sent that request to the investment committee, haven't heard anything back. It's, right now, there's almost $1 million that's hanging fire in the trust that we can't spend on Colonel Town because only 4% is allowed to be spent. And they've been making 8 or 9% a year, spending 4%, so it's there. And it'll be just like, kind of like the Dow Fund trying to get that money freed up. So the idea behind the extra 1% is to take that $50,000 or $60,000 off that taxpayer's tax effort and still maintain what's going on over at Colonel Town. So that's in the process, and I don't know what the next step is on that. And I think that the one thing that could be done if the extra money comes from the Dow residual fund is it could be, if the M and Smith committee, and I don't speak for them solely, but if they decided they could send a lot of that money over to the town welfare budget. And so we've already got able to lower it by 10,000, right? Because of the Dow money. It used to be 50, now 40,000 this year. If we had another 25 put over there, that would let us keep up the same level of service and take some of the burden off the taxpayer. So that's the main question.
Thank you, Rob.
And thank you.
Anything else? You guys? No, Jessica? Anything else? Everybody good? Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. We're adjourned.